I didn't try. I just said, you know what, forget this. Today I'm gonna rest. So I slept until I want to say I slept until 8 o'clock, which is almost like that feels like sleeping till 1 p.m. for me, because you get used to getting up super early. It's a good habit to have, but it does make you tired. Like about around afternoon time, I'm ready for a nap. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. And just a reminder, don't forget the All Black National Convention is coming up. It's going to be October 25th through the 27th in Chicago, which actually Lombard, Illinois is a suburb of Chicago. And the goal is to basically have our think tank. That's where we all get together. We get to meet each other, hang out, have fun, and learn. We're learning, learning, learning. We have many, many experts in the building, people that are just concerned about the future of the community, people that want Black people to do better. That's it. If you want our wealth to go up, if you want better relationships, if you want us to love each other, support each other, if you want our mental health to improve, if you want the culture to be fixed, then this is for the culture. This really is for the culture. And but I will say this does not represent what BET calls the culture. BET refers to the culture as, some of the ratchet stuff that goes on in toxic music and all that stuff. That ain't the culture. That's not Black culture. That is, in my view, that's a racist colonizer culture that is funded. They use money to fund a culture that is designed to kill you and put your kids in prison and have your people just struggling. Now, do me a favor. Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a quick yes if you can hear me okay, because somebody said they could not hear me. I want to make sure my audio is good. Okay, all right. So someone said they couldn't hear me. All right, great. So thank you. And I appreciate it. I think somebody was asking the sister to check her settings when she said she couldn't hear. And that helps. Sort of self-regulation is a valuable part of this community where you guys jump right in and talk to each other and say, hey, here's what like if I give a number out and then someone's like, well, what's the number again? I love the fact that there are people who take the initiative to say, oh, here's the number here. I cut and paste it. So I want to say thank you. That does not go unnoticed. It goes very much appreciated. And yeah, I like that word teamwork. Thank you. That's a great word to describe this because this is not, none of this is a one person job. My job, my goal is never, like I think Umar Johnson calls himself King Kong consciousness. I don't want to be King Kong nothing. I'm not trying to be the king or the boss or the unconditional leader. Because if you do that, then you're kind of by yourself. You don't have any help. I see this as a collaborative effort. I see this as an effort for all of us to work together to lift each other. So I lift you because because you're lifting me and we lift each other and we're all lifted. I don't want to be above everyone else. I want to be up high with a bunch of companions. I want the whole hood to be lifted. I want everybody in our space to be better off because we get together and we're sharing these things, right? So I figure as a guy who spent all those torturous years getting my PhD in finance that I would come in here every day and we talk about economics, and that's my contribution. Like a basketball team, I'm maybe I can be the Steph Curry, I can shoot the threes or something. Somebody else might have to play the center. Somebody else gonna have to play the power forward, right? But I can be the shooting guard. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, last night, a lot of you were there for Dr. Boyce Real Estate, where we spoke with Daniel Jennings, who's a brother. He runs Cool and Hip Tiny Homes, and they make these amazing tiny homes that they sell around the country. And he ships them. He makes them in Mississippi, and he ships them to people. And he makes them for well under $100,000. It's crazy. Like he showed a beautiful little house that was like 59, $60,000. And people, and people were like, "How do I get one?" And he's like, "Yeah, just place an order, and I'll make it, and shit, and I'll take it to your house for you." And I could, and in fact, the price was low, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cheap." And he said, "Yeah, and also it includes shipping." So anyway, Cool and Hip Tiny Homes, cool in and then the letter N. Cool and Hip Tiny Homes is his URL. And he was our trainer last night for Dr. Boyce Real Estate. He was our guest lecturer. And so if you want to see the training that he did in terms of how he got his business started, and because what he was talking about was not just people becoming customers and buying these houses. He was talking about maybe getting some tiny homes and starting some Airbnbs. You got some extra land, put a bunch of tiny homes. One lady said she had 1 acre of land, and she said, how many tiny homes could I put on 1 acre? He said, I think I could have sworn he said 10 of these, right? And then you could just charge rent or nightly rent, have an Airbnb type thing. But he was also talking about it in terms of a possible business. He said this industry is new, it's growing, people are still getting used to it, and basically he was really kind of breaking down how to even get into the business, how to even invest with him, things like that. So anyway, if you want to see that training, that recording, as well as all the other guest trainers that we've had in real estate, just feel free to go to drboycerealestate.com. The first month is totally free. It's drboycerealestate.com. And every single month I bring in someone who's an expert in some aspect of real estate to help us get really good, whether you're trying to do residential, multifamily, commercial, whatever it is. I got lots of friends. They know lots of stuff, and we work together to make sure you're exposed to what you want to know. Now, anyway, the one thing I wanted to talk about today that was on my brain was this. You guys know I link economics to a lot of stuff because most things in America are driven by money. Most decisions in America, good or bad, are connected to money. If you want to know why certain types of media appears on, in the movie theater and on the radio, all you got to do is go follow the money. If you want to understand why politicians are funding Ukraine and Israel or something and it doesn't make sense, well, just follow the money. Like we fund Ukraine because we require the Ukrainians to use that money to buy from U.S. defense contractors. So that could be accurately described as a legal money laundering operation where they're taking taxpayer money, they give it to Ukraine, but money is power. People that have money rarely give money without conditions. So they give the money under the condition that you have to upgrade your weapon systems and you got to go give that money to Lockheed Martin. You got to give that money to Boeing, right? You got to give that money to American defense contractors. So basically, that's how politicians launder taxpayer money to their friends, in case you're wondering. Okay, now I hit this button by accident. I'm sorry, brother. I have to let you go. I don't know how I brought you in here, but I'm sorry about that. All right. So anyway, so I hit a button here. I was on TikTok and I hit a button and accidentally let someone come into the TikTok, but I don't want to. I can't talk to nobody now. I didn't even know the guy. He seemed like a nice guy. I just don't know him. Anyway, so basically this so if you want to understand how things work in general in America, just follow the money. If you want to understand anything, if you want to understand why people get up and do what they do every day, just follow the money. Like, okay, what are you going to do today? Oh, I got to go to work. Why are you going to work? Oh, because I need the money. Okay, makes sense. So here's what I concluded. Here's what I figured out too, or not figured out, but I've always thought about this. It came to my brain. And I wanted to formalize it today. I'm going to say something that's going to come off controversial, I think. And you may have heard me say something like this, but I really believe this to the core of my soul because it's true 9 times out of 10. Jobs, in my opinion, a job is the biggest scam in America. Not because your job is bad, not because and I'm not saying that you're a sucker for having a job. Okay, so I'm not saying that at all. All of us have had jobs, right? All of us, raise your hand if you either have a job or you've had one. All of us have worked for someone at some point. Almost all of us have. Most of us have, right? Because plus we're black. That's kind of the default economic training. That's all the economic training you get, right? So people could be teaching you about forex and stock options and real estate and entrepreneurship, but instead they're like, no, fill out this job application and leave all the wealth building to the white folks. Let the white man figure out how to sell a product. Let the white man figure out how to make an investment. Let the white man figure out how to buy the real estate. Let the white man figure out how to set up the distribution channels. You just bring your black ass to work and just do's what the man tells you to do, boy. Just do what the man tells you to do, right? That's what actually in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I actually refer to a concept called economic maturity. That I haven't seen this concept in any textbook anywhere, but that's what you do when you're a professor. You don't read books, or you read books. You don't just read them though. You write the books, right? You don't just memorize the theories. You construct the theories. So in this book, I said there's a concept that came to mind called economic maturity. And economic maturity is where you are thinking you have you're sort of relegated to childlike thinking in the economic system where like when you get money, you're not thinking, okay, I can use this money to turn this money into more money. I can use this money to create scale. I can use this money to create jobs. I can use this money to institutionalize. Instead, you're thinking, I can use this money to go to buy toys. I could buy a car. I could buy a Gucci bag. I could buy me a vacation. I could buy me some red bottoms, right? That's economic immaturity. So another element of economic immaturity is when integration really did this to us. We were much more economically mature as a community before integration than after integration, because what integration did was basically it relegated black people to being in the sort of lower rung of the economic system. The part of the system where they say, look, don't you worry your pretty little head about setting up no businesses. We got the businesses. Just come work for us. Don't worry about owning nothing. We ownership, that's too much paperwork and it takes too much time. Just let us own everything. And then you just come and work for us. Just do what we say and we'll give you money, right? So that's a type of economic immaturity that is heavily promoted to the African American community, which reflects a massive danger in the multi-trillion-dollar loss that is incurred by the community by the fact that most of our kids are not educated by other Black people. Because other Black people will educate a Black child and want that Black child to be empowered. Like Black people will educate a Black child and they want that child to be strong. Black people educate a Black child, they want that child to feel loved. Black people educate a Black child and want that child to win and succeed and have power. Most people who are not Black are not really going to do that because they just don't care that much. I can't even halfway get mad about it because honestly, if I was educating somebody else's community, I can't imagine myself caring more about their community than I care about my own. It doesn't mean I would be mean to them. I had a lot of students that were from other communities and they were very nice, and but I didn't sit and talk to my Chinese students about all the problems in China. I didn't say, well, hey, let's elevate China. Let's bring back the Chinese community. I did no, it's like, well, that's your job. You got a daddy or something, right? You got parents and people in your community. Y'all are doing that, right? Right. So the same thing is true, I think, when you talk about the Black community. I think that economic immaturity is connected to slavery, is connected to low self-esteem, which is brought into which all connected to integration and how it was done. Integration as a concept was not bad. It was the way it was executed that was very, very bad. Okay. So with that being said, here's why I think a job is the biggest scam in America. Let me explain. Some of you heard some of this, but I actually have another twist that I think is really amazing. I like it. I'm not gonna say I'm not here to call myself amazing. I'm not that. I hope I'm not that arrogant. I'm not trying to be at all. Okay. First reason why a job is the biggest scam in America is because number one, a job is the only place where you can bust your ass and work like a dog for 40, 50 years and end up with less money than you had when you started. Right? We've talked about this. Right? The, there is a retirement crisis in America where millions of people who have worked their butts off for 30 or 40 years are not prepared for retirement. Like what they all the studies are like, to retire properly, you need to have this much money. And then they survey the 50-year-olds and the 60-year-olds and they say, well, how much do you have for retirement? It's like peanuts. It's like the amount of money that a teenager might have. Now, I'm not making fun of anybody because this is an epidemic. This is a nationwide crisis. This is like the financial version of the fentanyl crisis, right? This is bad. We've been smoking and drinking something or taking popping pills or something because it's really caused us to become economically delusional in that regard. People are not ready to retire. It's messy. And in fact, that's why I did the whole retire rich and early thing at the Dr. Boyce Academy. You guys can take a look at that if you want to. I'll share the link before we're done. But the other thing is, the other reason that the job is a scam is this. Not only do we get screwed economically, most people, but also it's a scam in the sense that somebody tricked you into believing that getting up and going to an office or a factory and being around a bunch of strangers some of whom don't even like you that much is somehow empowering and liberating, and that if you stay home with your kids and your spouse and the people that love you and you that somehow that is slavery, or that somehow that's just not progressive, or you're not doing anything with your life. I had a conversation with a young lady I mentored, and I remember she was about to have a baby and she wasn't happy about the pregnancy, and I was just sort of talking with her about it, and she said, yeah, my friends make fun of me because I'm just a mom. And I was like, what are you talking about, just a mom? Like, don't ever say that to me. I said, do you understand that being a mom is the most important job in the entire universe? I said, imagine a world where all the mothers stop doing their job. We would have a whole population of serial killers. There wouldn't be enough therapy on earth to fix all the crazy school shooters that we would have who didn't have mothers. I mean, can you imagine growing up without the love and support of and the guidance of your mother? I mean, your mother's the first teacher. That's the first person you look at when you're a newborn baby. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, no, don't ever say just a mom. It's okay for them to do what they do, but who in the hell told you that a damn job is more important than being a mother of a human being? That's crazy. That is a construct. That is literally some sort of psyop that they played on us that has worked on a massive scale. And it is very, very sad. It's not to discredit those who want to go to work and want to have careers. I think everybody should do what they want to do. Just so you know, I'm pro freedom. Like if it works for you, then it works for me. If you happy with it, then I'm double happy with it. So I want to make that clear. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just here to say, let's broaden our thinking a little bit and stop doing this sort of government controlled analysis where the government is telling you what's important and what's not. So that's exhibit B of why jobs are a scam. One, they screw you. They screw you financially on average. Two, they've distracted you from what I think could be an equally, if not more, noble purpose in your life. In fact, they take you away from your life. People started noticing that during the pandemic when they were home for the first time in years. They started realizing how many other things are happening in their lives that they were missing because they were at work every day. And I could keep going into the racial microaggressions and the mental health damage that's done, the physical health damage, or corporations that'll literally cut your job because they got bought out by another company and the company decided they can make more money by selling the whole business and breaking it into little pieces and whatever. Like I could talk about this, right? I could talk about the fact that these hoes ain't loyal, as Chris Brown used to say, that corporations are not loyal to you, right? So being loyal to a company doesn't, it's like being loyal to a politician. It just doesn't make any sense. Neither one of those are designed to be loyal to you. So you have to be, in my view, loyal to yourself, loyal to your family, loyal to your community. Be loyal to things that are going to be loyal back, not the other stuff. The third reason that I think jobs are a scam is I thought about this, right? Now I'm going to use a heavy word that's been used a lot lately because there's this guy named Diddy who's accused of a lot of crazy crimes, right? One of the words that's been used a lot in reference to Diddy is the word trafficking, right? Trafficking, right? Sex trafficking, human trafficking, all this stuff, right? And I was thinking about that and I said, I wonder what the actual definition of trafficking is, right? So my thought of trafficking is, under duress, where you force someone to do something, right? Forced labor. I'm going to force you to sleep with me. I'm going to force you to work for me, right? That's what we think about when we think about trafficking. But actually, did you all know that you can actually have trafficking that is not forced, that is not coerced? You can have trafficking with consent, where one party is exploiting another party by getting the first party to consent to doing whatever they do. Let me read the definition. Human trafficking with consent refers to situations where an individual seemingly agrees to participate in activities that may involve exploitation, such as forced labor or sex work. However, the key issue in human trafficking is not just consent, but the conditions under which that consent is given. So here's the deal. When you go to work every day, you are consenting to go to work, right? I want to see if you know where I'm going with this. You're consenting. Nobody's making you go to work. They tell you like, hey, look, if you don't like it here, you can quit. You can just stay home and whatever, right? So you're consenting, but do you feel a little bit coerced? Like, do you really think that it's full consent? Like if you really could do what you wanted to do, would you be going to work? So you're kind of volunteering to do it, but are you really volunteering? Like there are things that I consent to willingly, even if there's other things I can do. Like I consent to sleeping with my wife because she's the most beautiful woman in the world. I consent to that. She does not have to trick me into any of that. I ain't too proud to beg. Shout out to TLC. Okay, but there's some stuff where I might consent to do it, but I don't really want to consent. You understand? Like it's kind of under duress, right? So let me keep reading the definition, and I want you to kind of process this in terms of why Dr. Boyce believes that for most Americans, jobs are kind of this big old scam. However, the key issue in human trafficking is not just consent, but the conditions under which that consent is given. Often people are coerced, manipulated, misled, or under duress when they give their consent, making it not genuine or fully informed. So, when we go back into the fact that most Americans are financially desperate, most Americans had nobody leave them a nest egg. Most Americans didn't have parents that invested for them, like the $5 a day plan we talk about. Most Americans are just this close to being homeless. Would you define that? Give me a yes or no. Would you define that to be a little bit of coercion or perhaps under duress? Give me a yes or no. Would you say that most Americans go to work under duress? because I can tell you that financial anxiety is a type of duress. Economic stress is a type of duress. Being just over broke is a type of duress. Waking up in cold sweats because you're not sure if you can pay the bills, that's a type of duress. So you're consenting, but you're not really consenting. Hey, do you see what I'm saying here? Do you see what I'm getting? I hope I'm not. I hope I don't sound like an asshole when I'm saying it like this. I hope that it's actually making you think a little bit. I don't know. I don't know. I'm doing my best. And then the other words they use are manipulated and misled. Manipulated and misled. Now let's think about that. Now, in the beginning, I was mentioning to you that we have a society that trained us to believe that getting up and going to work every day was liberating and empowering and gonna give us security. But spending time with the people we love is some type of slavery, and it means you haven't done anything with your life, and that it's just not the place to be, right? That somehow this job is going to give you security when it doesn't give security. If jobs gave security, financial security, then there wouldn't be so many Americans that are financially insecure. Do you understand? I mean, if jobs really made you secure, then that would mean that you would have money no matter what. That would mean that that you're prepared for an economic crisis, an economic downturn. That would mean that if you lost your job, you would still be okay, right? But they don't give you security. That's not security. So no, I don't think a lot of people feel secure. They're worried if something goes wrong. If my pay gets cut, I lose my job. The economy turns left. I am in big trouble. Something, my car breaks down, right? So ultimately, the manipulation and the misleading, in my view, comes from a society that when you were a little kid and they could have taught you a million different ways to make money, all they focused on was teaching you how to fill out a job application. That's the manipulation. The manipulation and the being misled is when you were groomed. You were groomed for trafficking as a child. You were most of us, I say us, not you, because it happened to me too. We were groomed for trafficking as children. They were like when you grow up, this is gonna be your career. This is gonna be your job. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. Some of you have really fulfilling careers. I'm really happy for you. Some of y'all are like, man, this job you can take this job and shove it up your ass. Like some of you, I know you, I talk to you, right? Some of you are like, Doc, I'm just trying to get off the corporate plantation. I'm trying to get out of here. I gotta leave this job. And I hear you, I really do. And so the truth is that it's kind of like if I could go back in time and get a different type of education, like if somebody was like, okay, you have one type of education where you're going to spend 12 years learning a bunch of shit that you'll never use. Like you're going to learn like the periodic table and different forms of biology, all the different types of plants they grow in Indonesia. And then you're going to learn a bunch of white European history about how wonderful white people are, right? And then we're going to show you how to fill out a job application when you're done versus option B, which is we're going to teach you stocks, real estate. We're going to get you started in entrepreneurship early. We're going to show you how to collaborate and create economic systems that will help you make money at the age of 12, right? Like, I think I'd choose option B. That's the type of education I think I would want. So, to some extent, I got kind of misled. I think we all got kind of coerced. We were kind of groomed to be prepared for a certain system. Now, why is this not a coincidence? Why is this not a surprise? Well, because one element of capitalism, I told y'all, capitalism at its extreme, it ain't nothing but pimping. It ain't nothing but pimping. And pimping is trafficking. Do you understand why the Rockefellers donated so much money to the public school system? Well, because Rockefeller, and again, I have to confirm this quote, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did say this. It's been cited in a lot of places. He said, "Look, I don't need a whole bunch of people that are sitting around trying to fulfill their wildest dreams and thinking broadly about what their life could become and exploring all these ideas and possibilities." He said, "I need people that are gonna get up and go to work every day and see that as a virtue." I need them to just say, well, where do I have to show up? Which factory do I have to go to? And how long do I have to stay? That's all I want them thinking about. So to some extent, you were groomed to be trafficked into the capitalist system, which, like any other trafficker, like any other good pimp, it pretty much wants to keep you doped up, distracted, and just disheveled enough that you can get up and go to work. Like you can still get on the corner and make that money, but you're not so empowered that you start to realize all the things that you could accomplish in your own life. Like the pimp doesn't train you to be another pimp. The pimp trains you to be a good hoe. You understand? And but so they're not so that's to me. I mean, if you look at the definition of trafficking with consent, I think that it fits the definition. If maybe it seems like a stretch. I don't know if somebody, maybe some of y'all think, oh man, Doc, you're just reaching right now. I don't think I'm reaching. Because listen to this. It says, even if someone appears to consent, trafficking laws do recognize that consent given under threat, coercion, deception, or abuse of vulnerability is not valid. So that means if you're vulnerable, which I mean, Americans are, if we are nothing else, we are economically vulnerable. There are millions of people that don't even have $2,000 in their bank account saved. I'm not making fun of anybody that's in this category. I applaud you for trying to break that cycle. I do it. So I'm not beating you up. Don't walk away feeling bad. I want you to feel good when we're done. Okay. I want you to feel informed. All right. So, but really, so the threat, coercion, deception, abuse, or vulnerability, it almost it's similar to like the pandemic, which I what the thing that I hated most about the pandemic is where they were telling people like, if you don't get this shot, you're gonna lose your job. And I'm sure somebody sat in a room and said, if we really want people to do this, all we gotta do is threaten them and coerce them and basically abuse their vulnerability by telling them like you're going to lose your stream of income if you do not do what we tell you to do, if you do not comply. So that is in my view yet another piece of evidence to express why it's very important for you to make sure that your children and anybody you love understands why financial security is important. And my goal is not to help you just know how to do it or to know it's important, but I need you to know why it's important. I need you to connect to all the things that are more valuable than money. Things like freedom and the ability to just make decisions that are going to enhance your own happiness and your own fulfillment, as opposed to simply doing what you're told and ending up miserable. So this is why financial security should not be seen as something that is extra credit or optional. Financial security really should be mandatory. It should be mandatory. Every black child, the two things black people need to do that should be mandatory. One, we need a zero tolerance policy on drugs. There's too many of our young black people dying from drugs, too many of our young black men in rehab, too many of our young black women struggling because of drugs. And so any of these rappers that are promoting drugs, I talked to D1 yesterday, my favorite rapper, greatest rapper breathing, in my opinion, because he's changing the culture. He actually said he's going to try to come to the All Black National Convention. So if you guys want to meet him in person, D's been to about 4 or 5 of them by now. So we talked yesterday. I think I'm hoping he can come in. And so if you come to the convention, he says he's going to do everything he can to be there. But as you can imagine, because he's blowing up, his schedule is really full. But I appreciate that. But anyway, we were talking about that, and I just said, I just really don't understand why we are okay with hip hop artists using the power and influence of hip hop to convince young people to get high and to use drugs, because drugs have destroyed so many of our families. I just don't get it. So maybe I'm the weirdo, but I don't understand how you can have such a horrible history when it comes to drugs. So many millions of broken families, so many trillions of dollars in lost wealth and potential happen to you because of drugs, and you just sit there and your favorite rapper is literally telling your child to go, pop a Molly and then a Percocet, and you're just like bopping your head to it like it ain't nothing. That to me doesn't make any sense. I'm going to kind of talk to you about that a little bit. The second thing I think black people need to do, besides have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to drugs, we should also have a very strict policy when it comes to financial security. We should be 100% clear that our kids are not going to be out here begging like some little hoes, asking people across town to take care of them because their parents didn't do their job. We're not going to have our kids out here in the streets just basically doing whatever massa tells them to do because they're financially desperate. Most things that happen to black people that are crazy, negative, and weird, things that other people are doing to us, all the way from the Diddy parties on down, happen because they're being done to financially vulnerable people. Most of those people that went to a Diddy party and ended up taking their drawers off to make him happy, or people that were financially vulnerable. Most people who do goofy things in politics, where you're supposed to be this black politician, but you're not representing the black community. Well, a lot of them do it because they're financially vulnerable. So you have to, in my view, have a strict policy on economic intelligence and financial security, because that is a type of national security. Do you understand? that when you are vulnerable, when you need money, you are vulnerable to people who have resources who can dangle that over your head and get you to do stuff. All the way from the Hollywood director who asks you to lay on the casting couch to your boss who knows that they can treat you any old kind of way because you ain't got nowhere to go. To your daughter dating some greasy old fat man who basically says, "If you give me what I want, I can help you get the $500 for the rent." To your son who ends up feeling completely emasculated, disrespected, or goes out and does something crazy to get a couple of dollars because he's financially secure and doesn't know a safe way to get the money that he needs. So that economic security piece, I think, has to be essential because if you don't, then you will be trafficked. Capitalism will traffic you, and it will traffic you with consent. Slavery works best when you don't tell the slave that they're an actual slave. That's what they figured out. They figured out that slavery is most effective if you just don't tell them. If you give them the illusion of choice, the illusion of freedom, the illusion of liberation, then that's good enough for most people because most people don't know the difference between artificial freedom and true freedom. True freedom typically means that you can pay your own damn bills and you don't need that man over there that you're trying to negotiate with, that person over there who doesn't have your best interest at heart. You don't need that person to step up and take care of you and yours. You got this. Okay. So this should be just a core value. This should be more important than all the other things we're great at. We're great at basketball. We're great at football. We're great at rapping. We're great at dancing. We should be as good at economics as we are at all of these things. We're great at going to church, right? Like we are the best church going people ever. And to me, I think that all these other things that we're great at, all we have to do is just be just as great at economics as we are at all these other things that don't really put any money in our pocket. 99% of all little boys that play football never make a nickel playing football. Football is great. Football is fun. I'm a big football fan, but at the end of the day, you got this bigger game, this game of life that your son must be prepared for. And my question as the finance professor slash old black man is like, where's your mama and daddy, and why didn't they prepare you for this game? You do know that this man ain't playing with you. You do know that a little black boy is a threat to society. Did somebody ever tell you that, or did they tell you that racism doesn't exist anymore? Because if they told you that, then I hate to sell you, but when you get in this game, it's very very serious. They don't feel sorry for you. There is no room for you if you are not prepared, and we have millions and millions of our kids who are just not ready because nobody gave a damn. Maybe it's because we're so busy going to work every day that we don't have the time to spend with the kids to give them what they need in order to be ready for a very competitive world and a world that's built on a lot of trafficking and economic exploitation of those who are most vulnerable. There's nobody more vulnerable in America than the African American community, African American descendants of slaves. This is why I think we're different. We're no disrespect to anybody from other countries, but in America we have a unique history, we have a unique experience, and we are at the bottom rung of everything. If you look at wealth over the last 50 years, you would always have the different groups. Chinese would be near the top or at the top. They're actually above white people, and then you have white people. Then you got like black and like Latino people from other countries, and then you got black people just sitting there down in the mud. And we've been in the mud. You go back 50 years, that ranking is the damn same as it is right now. So something's got to change, and it's got to be a change in you because the world ain't gonna change. The world is not gonna stop being the world. White people are not gonna stop being white. And it's not no, and I don't even hate them. I'm not even talking about them. I'm really talking about you. The question is, are you gonna be willing to consider changing what it means to be black? You got to change what it means to be black. Like when BET says this is black culture, I'm like, the hell it is. That ain't my culture. You all that raggedy shit that you got on there, that's maybe that's your culture. How about you feed that to your kids? How about you get you get the little Millie Zuckerberg? How about you let her have that culture? Let her be sexy red. My daughter ain't gonna be no sexy red. My daughter's not gonna be young thug sitting up ready to face 80 years in prison. My kids, I want my kids to have the big piece of chicken. I want my family to win. I want my people to be informed. I want my people to be wealthy. I want my people to be happy. I want my people to have peace and power and prosperity. You can save all the ratchet shit for your kids. Feed it to your children, and that's how you know somebody's feeding you poison. That's how you know. The way you know, how do you know somebody's giving you poison? Well, when they say, "Here, drink this." Well, what you got? But if you're smart, you're gonna say, no, you drink it. You drink it. You first. You drink it first, and then maybe I'll consider drinking it. But if you ain't drinking it, I'm not drinking it. There's a whole theory of that in finance, by the way. It's called the lemon theory. The lemon theory basically says that you should not consume something or do something that the other person is not willing to do. If somebody asks you to make an investment in something, and you say, well, how much did you put into it? How much did you invest? And they say, well, I didn't invest anything. Well, that's your signal right there. Like that should be. Or when somebody sells you something, they say, well, here's $100,000 car, but I'll give it to you for 30. The first question an intelligent person should ask is, well, why are you? If it's so great, why are you so eager to sell it? And if your answer is not convincing to me, then hell no, I ain't buying that car. You trying to get me to do something that you're not even willing to do. Why would I do that? Right. So anyway, with that being said, and I'm going to slow it down and kind of close this up here, is that basically my conclusion is that overall, the economic system in America, the employment system in America, is not just a horrible scam that leaves people broke after working extremely hard. It also is a form of trafficking with consent. To traffic someone or something with consent means that there is a party that is exploiting them. In corporate America, believe me, they're making trillions of dollars from your labor. No question about it. I'm a stock market investor. All of those stocks are going up. The Dow Jones hit a record high for the 41st time this year. So they're making record profits from the exploitation of American labor. So that's what trafficking is. It has all the signs of trafficking with consent. And all I'm saying is get out the game. Don't traffic others. I'm not saying you should become an exploiter or a colonizer, but I'm also saying that it is strategic planning and really addressing the entire system that is going to be necessary for us to kind of get out of this rat race. So anyway, I'm done. Thank you guys for listening. By the way, I will share the link. I'll text you guys the link to if you want to join. We're doing for the retirement class. It's called Retire Rich and Early. I put that together. It's a simple module that doesn't cost that much that you guys can take a look at if you want to get ready for retirement. I think everybody should prepare for retirement, even if you're in your 20s. You could be 19 years old and saving for retirement. All that is saving. All that is investing. It's not like something that only benefits you when you get older. I think that's really important to understand. The reason for the retirement crisis is because people just sort of kept putting it off because it's like, oh, I'm 25. I don't have to think about retirement. Then it's like, oh, I'm 35. Then you're 45. Then you're 55. Then you're like, holy crap, I don't have enough money. Well, if you think about it differently, then you'll be prepared. It's just like investing for your kids. I'm not telling you to just invest for your children. Invest for you. Invest for you. Build the wealth for you, and then you can pass it to the kids. So the same thing is true when it comes to investing for retirement. Invest for you. Invest for now. Like that money is still your money. The government puts a little bit of a wall where you got to pay a penalty to access it or whatever. It's a little bit tougher to get it, but it's still your money. You can still get it. Okay, the retirement planning it should be just called something else. Maybe it should just be called planning or or something because I think that it's been misbranded and it's causing people to not do it because they think it's for old people. And the biggest trick they play on us in America, the biggest psyop that you get hit with when you're young is that you're never going to get old. Because when you're 23, it's hard to imagine yourself at 63. I know I couldn't. I don't know how many other people felt this way. So anyway, if you want to get access, it's in the Dr. Boyce Academy. I'm gonna text it out. I'll text out a discount link. Lifetime access is $299, which I think is a very fair price. But for everybody that's in this class, you can literally get lifetime access for $99 for the next like 24 hours. So get on the text list. I will text out the link this afternoon. So pull out your phone, text the word morning to the number 87948. You'll also get an invitation to Money in the Morning. So text the word morning to the number 87948, and I will text it out this afternoon about 2 o'clock, and you guys can take a look. And then on Tuesday, what I'm going to do to kind of get you started, there's a lot of material in there already. You can already get started right now, and it's yours for life. You can share it with your family, everything else. But then on Tuesday night, I'm going to actually do a training, and it's called Retire Rich and Early. And I'm literally going to break down 7 or 8 key elements of retirement that everyone should understand. Okay, so this is great for you, whether you are approaching retirement age or already in retirement, or you're young and you want to make sure you avoid the mistake that's been hitting so many other people. All right. So anyway, that's it, guys. And also, last but not least, the All Black National Convention. If you want to learn more about that, it's October 25th through the 27th. We're getting together in Chicago. I hope you guys will join us. It's going to be amazing. Just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. So have a good day, everybody. God bless.